What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. Your favorite lore master here, James, with the Lore Reloaded. I am glad to see all of you guys. Really happy to be here. I'm having a few issues with my audio, so I'm going to give it a second to see how my voice is doing. Let me know in the stream how it's going as well. If it's fine, if it's too low, what's going on with it, such as that. Sounds good. But, yeah, just let me know in the chat. Sorry, my actual headphones have gone out, unfortunately. But with that out of the way, guys, don't forget to check me out, twitter.com/lore reloaded, as well as twitch.tv/lore reloaded. And, of course, we got all of the great people here. We got Lanner playing in an autistic verse, who has his own channel, which is pretty cool. Sky Bennett, Atheron, Matthew Richards, Manny022, Daniel Lambert, Ariel Bullet. Hey, it is never a party without Jeremy Shearer here. Jeremy Shearer. All right, so we're going to be getting into this fairly quickly. Don't know how long I'm going to be on. I'm going to be on as long as you guys want me to be on. We can just hang out, just have a conversation, and see where to go from there. Ultimately, I want to be talking about quote-unquote supposed traitors. Specifically, I want to go into 4 different persons who could have been considered to betray their government, to betray their people, betray their ideals. And ultimately, who is and who isn't an actual traitor in the overall aspect of it. And of course, we're talking about Sheridan, we're talking about Steven, we're talking about Picard, and Janeway. And I would love to know your guys' opinions on that. And where we can go from there. Sorry, let me check one thing. All right, so let's just break it down. We'll start out with Sheridan. And this is going to have spoilers for both Babylon 5 and Star Trek for those who aren't aware. And yeah, Eddington, before we get into that, what were your thoughts on Commander Eddington? I think Eddington was ultimately a traitor. I do think he betrayed Starfleet. But it was one of those things where he had a good point. That he wasn't wrong in everything he did, but he may have went about it the wrong way. And I mean, we need to, I think I already did a breakdown in Eddington. Maybe we need to redo that. Let's go back and let's have a conversation about Sheridan. So, Jeremy Shearer, $2.99. Keep up the great work. Hey, I will. You keep up the great work, good sir. You keep up the great work. Okay, so let's just break it down. Sheridan, the specific piece I'm talking about is, of course, the Earth Alliance Civil War, where Sheridan ultimately betrays the Earth Alliance and fires on Earth Alliance ships, as well as ultimately begins to liberate or take over, depending on how you want to look at it, different colonies, and ultimately an attack on Earth itself, right? Now, let's look at the reasons why he did this. First off, we have an authoritarian government that has ultimately overthrown the ruling government on Earth. So you have a president who has arrested or killed anybody that had wrongthink or was against his policies. He then takes care and completely destroys the Senate and judicial branches. At that point, you have several different colonies, including Mars, that decides to become independent. And so he not only attacks Mars, but attacks civilians that had nothing to do with the independence movement. And so with all of that done, and of course he also orders several attack cruisers and task force ships towards Babylon 5. And so at that point, Sheridan declares that Babylon 5 is no longer under the Earth Alliance and that it's its own independent state. And then commits to a war against the Earth Alliance. And dedicates tons of resources, causes a lot of death. Is Sheridan a traitor? And I would love your guys' thoughts on this. I would love your opinions. I think by the strict definition, just going from a definition itself, he is, in fact, a traitor to Earth and to Earth Alliance. But that said, I think this would more be a justified reason. Ultimately, Clark, whether we like it or not, Clark was legitimately elected. Clark was in his position legitimately. Legitimately being loosely legitimately, I'll say. He did have the president killed, but in theory, if he didn't have the president killed, he would be there, quote unquote, legitimately. He did pull a Palpatine. I'll agree with that. So, I mean, I guess he wasn't there legitimately. So, it is not a legitimate government on Earth. And so, if you're fighting a non-legitimate government, are you an actual traitor? By the strict definition, I'm still going to go with yes. But unlike a couple of the others that we're going to talk about, I'd almost say it was justified. I don't know. What are your guys' opinions? Atheron says, I can't really speak for Babylon 5 since I haven't watched it. From the explanation, though, I'd say justified rebellion-style traitor. Yeah, that I would agree. Let's see. Mike Levisho. He was replaced when he went to Zahudun. Everything past his return is just propaganda. Okay. Possibly. Possibly. Let's see. You guys aren't even talking about what I'm talking about. What's up with that? Withertack says, I don't think Sheridan is a traitor per se. He was more or less a freedom fighter, fighting a dictatorship. Awesome player boss, not talking about Babylon 5. I think that Michael Eddington made us believe he did something that we fans think he shouldn't have done. When you think about what he did was right as doing the wrong at the same time. Okay. He did the wrong things for the right reasons, is what you're saying. Oh, no. I mean, what are you guys' opinions? I think that he was a traitor, but it was justified. He wasn't going to follow illegal orders, and he was bound to defend the Constitution of the Earth Alliance, which had plainly been, subverted. You could say that Clark subverted expectations. Daniel Lambert, as a Marine, I side with Sheridan because he basically went against unlawful orders during my tour in the Corps. It's actually heavily discussed. Sure. I don't disagree with that. Valet says, hell, the American founding fathers were traitors. Sheridan did what he had to do to save the world. It is a rebellion. Well, I mean, honestly, are the British actually a power or anything? I mean, they got beat by farmers, so, I mean, you know. But, of course, we're Americans, so we are better than everybody else. Jonathan Stevie, Clark was illegally present as he assassinated the guy before him to attain his position. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So I was going to say that he was legitimately there, but he wasn't. He did gain the powers through non-legitimate means. Wither tax. That is not what treason is. Justified treason is not treason. Well, let's look up the definition of treason, good sir. The crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. The actions of betraying someone or something. So, according to Google.com, and as we all know, Google.com is the obvious best thing. So, in theory, you could say that he was a traitor. Now, if we don't want to use that, and that he didn't commit treason. Well, I looked up treason, didn't I? Traitor definition. I'm sorry. A person who betrays a friend, country, or principle. Yeah, see, I don't think it changes anything there. So I do think he kind of commits treason, or he is a traitor. But, again, it's not a legitimate government. So, I don't know. Yeah, if you guys are watching this, 62 people watching, only 9 likes, 2 dislikes. What's up with that? I mean, don't be scared of the like button. It's more scared of you than you are of it. Jari Nagel says, you are my Scottish brother-in-law's twin. Have you been to Scotland? I have not been to Scotland, but what I do know is that if you live in England and you say a Scottish person is Scottish and that they can have their own national identity, it really pisses off anybody who lives in the city of England. There is a direct correlation to being pissed off by saying a Scottish person can be independent and living in the town of England. I have learned this. I guess it comes from the British not understanding that they no longer can push people around. But yeah. Let's see. It is worth pointing out that traitor isn't necessarily evil. After all, our own nation was founded through betrayal of the founder's homeland. Through the motherland. The Earth Alliance government had already been dissolved, so he can't be a traitor. See, I disagree. He, for a little while, followed under Clark. Whether it's the Earth Alliance or not, he was and took orders from Clark for a long time. So he did betray them in that sense. At least that's my opinion on it. I don't know. Clark, setting aside the assassination, pushed many illegal orders that violated the Earth Alliance Constitution. It is actually required in the UCMJ for a member of the military to resist and not follow illegal orders. Sure. Ricky Radio, saying this for the 6th time. The Shadows controlled the government. The attack was necessary, in my opinion. The same argument could be made about treason on Star Trek on multiple occasions. Agreed. Clark was the traitor, not Sheridan. See, but it's interesting because when you look at Lockley in the last season, and I gotta be honest, the last season is a slog. I like all seasons until you get to the last one. Lockley tries to make this point that it's not for the military to make decisions. Lockley is an idiot. Is as evil as Stephen, and not as evil. I'm sorry. I think Stephen Franklin, Dr. Stephen Franklin, is worse than Lockley. But Lockley is similarly evil, in my opinion, to Franklin. Probably a couple rungs down, but overall, still a very evil person. So yeah, Mike Lovcio, he was a Minbari Cuck. Who was a Minbari Cuck? I want to know who a Minbari Cuck was. Withertax says, this is not the same government. The U.S. and Earth Alliance are different. I would agree. That the U.S. and Earth Alliance are different. Withertax, I didn't watch season 5 yet. I don't like it. I mean, you might. I could end up liking it towards the end. I'll say this. I did not like season 3. The middle of season 3 was very boring. I think they should have cut out like 7 of those episodes and included and got into the wars and things. I think it was a waste of time. See, the last season 5 may be slow at the beginning and get really good at the end. I'm going to try to get through it. I honestly am. Can somebody rate these evil peeps? Fax Modem becoming a lore master. Can somebody rate these evil peeps on a scale from 1 to Lestat? Sheridan, I would say, if we're going to call him he's not. I don't think Sheridan's evil at all. So I would put him at 1 or 0. So yeah, I don't know. Sheridan is a traitor. I think we could say that, or a freedom fighter, maybe. Did my cat just fall off? Oh, no, hey, what are you doing? Sheridan was a a traitor or a freedom fighter, I guess, if we're going to put it in that term. And I don't think what he did was wrong. He's probably the only one I'm going to say he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, what do you guys have to say with it? We'll move on to one of the Star Trek alums after this. But ultimately, Sheridan didn't do nothing. We'll say that. Mario says Sheridan was a justified traitor. Clark was a traitor through and through. Clark persecuted any who spoke out against him like a dictator. That's the feeling I'm getting. I haven't seen B5. Yeah, I could see that. But Withertax says it's more like mutiny. I don't know that it's mutiny. Maybe. I don't know. All right, so let's leave it up to you guys. I know I'm going to have to wait 10 seconds after I say this, but put one if you think he was a justified traitor, 2 if he was a traitor and did something wrong, 3 if he was a freedom fighter and shouldn't be called a traitor. My dear and good friend, Mr. Garibaldi. While I'm waiting for you guys to do the voting, let me say this. I love Garibaldi, and it tore me up what happened to his character. I felt so bad. Just like Lando. Sometimes I can't stand Lando. Sometimes I think he is so evil and is going to get anything that comes. And then Lando goes through and just becomes this good guy. And then I see what happens to him in the end, and I hate that. I hate the way Lando, the ending arc for Lando, because ultimately I think he becomes a hero in his own way. And the arc between him and Jakar, it's excellent. I mean, Babylon 5 has good writing, I think. Really good writing. So it looks like 3, so he's a freedom fighter. We're going to say that he was not a traitor. Ricky Radio, in the Next Generation episode Conspiracy, when the bugs take over the Federation and the Admirals are compromised, they blatantly disregard the Admiral's orders in order to save the Federation. Was that treason? I don't know. I think that's a good question. I wouldn't consider that treason because it's not actually the people doing it. There wasn't anyone corrupt. I don't think that's treason. And that may be hypocrisy or that may be double. You know, I don't think that's treason. I don't. I do think what Sheridan did is treason. But Clark wasn't compromised. The officers that followed Clark weren't compromised. They were either just, at best, making bad decisions, at worst, evil people. Clark was evil. I'm talking about those who listened to what Clark did. I don't know. That's a good question. See, this is why I have these conversations with you guys. This is why we talk about... A lot of people will sit here and will say that you shouldn't talk about science fiction. It's a waste of your time. Why don't you get a real job? Science fiction, stories, stuff like this. Not only does it pull us away from the bad stuff that's happening, it's just fun to talk about this and not worry about the real world. Because honestly, I think the United States is about to get into a civil war. And it's just good just to sit here and just not have to worry with that for a few minutes. And we get to understand and better look at the human condition. And so, I just, you know, this is one of the things I enjoy because it makes you think it. Londo, 5 years of Londo. Every episode, Londo. Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's look at another person. Let's look at Janeway. The one, the only, the Janeway. Janeway decided to assist the Borg in defeating their greatest enemy. And Franklin was not a hero. You can shut up, Corey 2000. You can get the hell off my channel. Corey 2000 no longer welcome. Gone. Goodbye. Deuces. But Janeway assisted the Borg to defeat the species 8472. And I I think she was a traitor. I think that, let me say this, a lot of people get confused about this. A lot of people get very irate. I think that the crew of Voyager acted on impulse. They acted on fear. And I can't say that I wouldn't do different than them. But I do think they made the wrong decision. I don't think they got enough information. And I do think that she aided and abetted the worst enemy Starfleet and the Federation had ever seen. I'll jump into that in a second. Epic 00, by the way, guys, the way that I keep my kids fed, the way that I keep the lights on is by viewers like you, Patreons, and of course people who donate Super Chats. So thank you so much. It helps more than you guys know. Will you be talking about the B5 episode where the Doctor operated on an alien kid against his parents' wishes, which talks about religion? Yes, that is an epic... Oh my god, Babylon 5 does religion so much better than in any Trek. Any Trek, Babylon 5 does it infinitely better when it comes to religion. And I think it shows both sides. And I think it shows the hubris. I'm not going to get into it too much. I love... See, here's my thing. Franklin in the TV series... I would have that man's child if we're talking about TV series Franklin. If we're talking about movie Franklin, I want him reprogrammed to kill Minbari, and still just a little sliver of him stays who he is so he can watch himself kill Minbari. I hate movie Franklin. I love TV series Franklin. But yes, I'll be getting into that for sure. Going back to Janeway. Let me give you my opinion on their interactions with Species 847-2 and why I think Janeway made the wrong decision. A lot of people will say, well, the Species 847-2 wanted to take over... Species 847-2 wanted to take over the world and they wanted to attack the universe. Why do we think that? Here's the evidence we have. The evidence we have is Kess's interaction, all three of them, if that, 2 or 3, with a random Species 847-2 member. We don't know who this person was, this alien was that she was interacting was. Was it the leader of 847-2? Was it a soldier? Was it the local Ku Klux Klan? Was it the clown that nobody listens to? Who is this person she was? We also know that Species 847-2, if there's one thing they can do, it's effing kill Borg. They can kill fucking Borg from here to the end of time. But when it comes to firing on an Intrepid-class vessel, when it comes to firing on an Intrepid-class vessel, they either miss or they don't destroy it. So they can kill cubes. They kill cubes in spades. I mean, there's 2 things that Species 847-2 does. It is, drive around in fluidic space and fucking kill Borg cubes. But they can't kill an Intrepid-class. They either miss or don't do any damage. Are you kidding me? The other thing is that in another episode, we know that they can be talked to, that they can have a conversation, they can be bartered with, that you can create peace. So all we have is Kess's opinion with an interaction of 1. And they don't do any other research. They're like, let's just take Kess's opinion on it. Let's just do that. And the only time Species 847-2 goes for the kill shot is after Janeway threatens them. After Janeway threatens them, creates a weapon that can kill them and gives it to the Borg, then Species 847-2 gets serious and try to destroy Voyager. Not before. There is no evidence before. And so, with that, I think Janeway aided and abetted the enemy, the Borg. And I think that she is a traitor. And I think that she, maybe not a traitor, but she deserves to be in a prison. Atheron. Sorry, I don't have my ear shots on, so I don't know how long that ding goes. Atheron says, Janeway would fit better in the mirror universe, knifing her way to the top. I'll say this about Janeway. I think Janeway is right. She's either Mirror Universe, great for Mirror Universe, or she's a tragic hero. I think she makes an excellently written tragic hero. Daniel Lambert, again, thank you so much for the $10. It really helps out. Daniel Lambert with a $5. Take my money and read my comment. Done. Sheridan was a hero. Franklin was a snobby drug addict. Shadow War plot was awesome. So is Southern Comfort. Southern Comfort is I love Southern Comfort. Who doesn't like Southern Comfort? Yeah. Wither Tax thinks that I need counseling. I do need counseling. I actually go to a therapist. I would suggest it for everyone. If the Fed, let's see, 8472 was acting on impulse as well, acting emotionally. They could be reasoned with. They couldn't be reasoned with at that time. You know, and that may be true. I could see that too. I mean, so, you know, and that makes a lot of sense when you think about it. You know, so Species 8472 is minding their own business. All of a sudden, the Borg just rush in and are like, we are going to enslave you, and you're going to be the newest automatons and slaves. They may have overreacted a little bit. I mean, I can't say that we would do much better, right? If all of a sudden, you know, we minded our own business, we were isolationists, and then all of a sudden another empire just comes in and tries to take over everything, might freak out. You know, so I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't hate it. But, again, I don't think there's enough evidence to prove that Species 8472 was evil. There's just not. Now, I know that the creators wanted them to be evil, but according to the IP holders, they say if it happens on screen, that's what's legitimate. So intent doesn't matter. It's what happens on screen. And what happens on screen doesn't lead one to believe that helping the Borg was the best idea. But let's say this. Let's go this route. Let's say, for the hell of it, that I'm wrong. That Species 8472 was absolutely, positively the most evil that ever eviled the evil. And they were just destroying the Borg. It is the height of hubris to think that that only Starfleet could help them and stop them, and only with the Borg. You're telling me no other species could stop the Borg? Not the Organians, not the Q, no Delta Quadrant power, not the Crinum, nobody. Only Voyager could do it, and only with the Borg's help. Really? Really? Epic00. Also, please talk about the $4.99. Thank you so much for helping out the channel. Also, please talk about the sentence of death of personality. Are you talking about when telepaths destroy a person's personality? That is devastatingly scary. I think that's worse than death, honestly. I think that if you consider I think that should only be done for the absolute worst punishment. Because, you know, it kind of goes to Mass Effect, right? When you're playing Mass Effect, I think, like, the evil Geth. Is it the Geth? I forget who. But there's an AI. I think it's the Geth. Maybe not. There's an AI where you can either destroy them or reprogram them to make them your friends. And death of personality is... To be reprogrammed is one of the scariest and worst things that could ever happen. For me, death is preferable. And I'll probably do a video on that. William Schaffner, in my opinion, the biggest traitor was Lanier at the end, though. He tried to make amends in the Centauri trilogy books, which are considered canon. I don't know specifically what you're referring to. Is that in the 5th season or is it in the 4th? Awesome player boss, don't hate your life. You're awesome. You're the awesome player boss. You're not allowed to hate your life, buddy. You're worth something. And if you seriously hate your life and you're upset or you're thinking about doing anything negative, please consider calling one of those suicide helplines, because it's not worth it, buddy. And you know, if you want someone to talk to, I mean, I can try, but I would suggest also BetterHelp. because they rock. If the Delta Quadrant powers were smart, they'd ally with 8472 to wipe out the Borg. They were! That's the thing. That's what pisses me off. Janeway is such a egotistical person of ill repute. She thought that she was the only one that could do anything, and there were species that were counting on 847. They were aware of 8472, and they were just sitting back and like, hey, let's let them figure this out. Let's let them do what they need to do, right? And that's what I don't like. So I don't think she's a traitor. I think she made a wrong decision. I don't think she committed treason, but I do think that she should be in jail for her actions. So let's get what you guys think. 1. So put 1 in there if Janeway is put 1 in there if Janeway is a traitor. Put 2 if you think she should go to jail for assisting the Borg, or 3, Janeway didn't do nothing. And while we're doing that, Darth Oculus helping out the channel. Again, thank you so much. Michael Burnham is the biggest traitor / threat to the Trek universe. Would you ever consider doing video game lore such as StarCraft or Mass Effect? I, in fact, have done video game lore. I've done video game lore of Warcraft. I wanted to say I did a StarCraft one. I'm going to start testing that out to see how that goes. I do this for a living, so I can only... people have to be interested in it. It has to start a conversation. But I will probably try that. So, again, thank you so much, guys. This is how I make my bread. I really appreciate it. Lanier tried to kill Sheridan because he was jealous. He loves Delenn. That's why he can't be considered a traitor. When did... Lanier is Delenn's assistant, right? I love Lanier. He really tried to kill Sheridan? That is a shame. Got a couple of 1s, couple of 3s, mostly 2s. Mostly 2s. So I guess that's what we're going to go with that. Okay. All right, so let's continue on then. Darth Oculus. Let's continue on. This is the one everyone's going to get upset about. Stephen Franklin, the one everybody is absolutely... What's going on, Gabrielle Ferris? Haven't seen you in forever. Hope you are doing well. Stephen Franklin. In the movies. Let me do this. Do I still have it? I don't think I still have it. Probably not. Yeah, I deleted it. So the original version of my script, and I shared it on my Twitter. You guys need to go to my Twitter. You get the full octane reloaded on my Twitter. My original draft, what I was going to do to Stephen Franklin, is kind of what I said before. I would do everything I put in the script, in the actual episode video, if you've seen it. But I would also have him reprogrammed to be a thirsty Minbari killer. To be someone who can't survive without killing Minbari. And in the back of his mind, keep just a piece of who Franklin was, so that he would be forced to watch himself kill Minbari for the rest of his days. So here's my thing when it comes to this, and it's a darker part of me. I actually, and I've said this, I actually talked to my therapist about this. I actually have a therapist. I think everybody should. I don't care if you don't like it or not. If you don't have a therapist, everybody should have one. When you have someone who chooses to let every person a part of his group die for morals that won't matter because everyone's dead, that really sparks something in me. And before I get into that, William Schaffner, again, thank you so much. If you think about it, by $5, if you think about it, by the book, Janeway would be in prison for willfully allowing terrorists to be in positions of authority. Yes, that technically, yeah, with the Maquis. That's a good conversation for another one. But I agree, yeah. Because she allowed the Maquis, who are terrorists, to run the ship. But going back to what we were discussing beforehand, uh, let's talk about Hilo for a second from Battlestar Galactica. When you take a look at Hilo, and the spoilers for Battlestar Galactica, for whoever cares about that, there was a group of Cylons that had gotten a sickness, and it was killing them. And so what they wanted to do is they were out of range to be regenerated, and so they wanted to get back in range. Actually, no, let's not even talk about Hilo. Screw that. We'll do that. I'll create a video, or we'll do another thing for that. Let's not even forget I mentioned Hilo. Stephen Franklin had all of the information you could ever want. Well, no, I wouldn't say that. Had most information, had a ton of advanced information on Minbari physiology, and things of that nature. And so you have humanity that is being destroyed, and that an alien race that is going to kill every person. Humanity was going to become a dead race. And so they were just going to be just wiped off the face of the planet. And they sued for peace. And we know they did from the movie in the beginning. We know they wanted peace. They asked for peace. They requested peace. And they were willing to be subjugated. And the Minbari just wouldn't listen. No, they were bloodthirsty. And so you have Earth Alliance, who has no choice but to try to wipe the Minbari off of the face of the planet. Or off of the face of the galaxy. And the only way to do that, because they can't meet them technologically, so now we have to get into like biogenetics and try to create weapons of mass destruction to destroy them. And Stephen Franklin, the pompous, egotistical, most deserving of a bullet between the eyes in the entirety of Babylon 5 lore, decides that the Hippocratic Oath is more important than saving every man, woman, and child that is human. Billions and billions and billions of people all dead because fucking Stephen Franklin took the Hippocratic Oath. Daniel Lambert, $2. Thank you so much. Voyager is a Pez dispenser for shuttlecraft. They are. And, well, you know, in fact, not to get off on this, but I think we know that Voyager can make shuttlecrafts because they make the fancy souped up shuttlecraft. So it's possible that they had time to build new ones. I don't hate that as much. Replacing their photon torpedoes. Now that's something that's annoying. Anyway, nukes like Japan World War II are one thing. Racial genocide is another, says Tech2188. I agree. J. Paul Lightfoot. He was right in the end, though. Humans needed the Minbari. The Minbari needed humanity. Sure. So, hindsight. Hindsight is a hell of a thing. In the end, it was good that he didn't do that. At the time, he's a traitor. At the time, he's worthy of death. If you make the right decision for the wrong reason, it's still wrong. It's still a wrong reason, right? And so, even if he was right in the end, and some people have said, and this is actually a good counter too, not a good counter, but a good reason why it's good he didn't do it. Minbari, a lot of Minbari do have similar DNA to that of humans. Because you have the children of Valen. And so it's possible that they would create this virus that would be easily able to jump to humans. And so now you have the destruction of both the Minbari and humans. There's a lot of reasons why him not doing this was a good idea. But it doesn't mean that he's not a traitor and he didn't deserve a bullet between the eyes. Darth Oculus, can Shrek recover its old magic or is it dead? I honestly think it's dead. I don't say that because I want it to be dead or I like that. I think what Shrek was is gone. I think new Shrek is going to be for the new generation. I don't think anybody who's nostalgic for it could do that, honestly. Epic00, you, and this keeps coming up too. Epic00, you are making a moral argument, but not a legal argument. The two are not the same. I guarantee you there would be no legal repercussions at saving the human race. Laws written by man, like morals, don't mean a damn thing if everybody's dead. They don't mean not one damn thing. Say it with me. Laws don't mean a damn thing if we're all dead. Not one damn thing. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can have all the laws in the world. Won't matter if we're dead. So, I don't think laws are an issue either. William Schaffner, the Dilgar War, $5, thank you so much. The Dilgar War was about the same thing. The good accomplished by doing evil does not cancel out the evil. The Dilgar War is one of my examples of why the Earth Alliance is better than the Minbari. The Earth Alliance did not kill or destroy all of the Dilgar, even though some of the non-aligned worlds wanted to. Did not. J. Paul Lightfoot, if you break your morals, how do you continue living? Let me tell you this. If I had to kill an entire species to save mine because my hand was forced, I may not be able to live with myself. I might even take my own life. But at least the entire species saved. Not all laws are written by humans, are they, says Corey2000. I am not getting in a religious debate with you. I will say this. The laws that we can perceive and be aware of are written by man. Are there laws that transcend that of this mortal coil? That may be the case. But at the moment, there is no way to perceive such laws. Plasma Core 5. What if an alien ship came to Earth carrying the last of a race of aliens, and they intend to exterminate us all so they can have the Earth? It wouldn't be wrong to kill them all first to save humans. I agree. Earth Force versus Starfleet. Who would win? Starfleet, hands down. The technology is way too advanced. Jonathan Stevie getting all up here. Getting all... not physiological. What am I trying to say? Getting all deep thoughting. Is humanity worth saving? Usually I think humanity is worth saving, and then I go on Facebook and Twitter and see all this Kavanaugh BS, and then I'm like, yeah, the Minbari were right. The Minbari didn't do nothing wrong. TG347 giving the best comment of the night. I'd live with it because I can live with it. Computer, erase the entire personal log. So let's talk about this. But humanity started the war. Sure. The Minbari drastically overreacted. We even know that elements of the warrior caste agreed that this was a slaughter, that it was just war for war, that it wasn't necessary. And so even if humanity started it, humanity wanted to stop it, and even the warrior caste, members of the warrior caste said, hey, this is too much. This is wrong. What Atheron says, what was the operative's quote in Serenity? Something along the lines of, there is no place for me in that world. That's true. I mean, you can do something and be a horrible person and want to die and not live within the world you want to create. right? I think the not all written by man thing might have meant stuff like Galactic Law, like no mass drivers in B5 or Federation. I mean, it's possible. I didn't know. Corey, if you're still here, correct me if I was wrong. But yeah, I mean, maybe that was a galactic issue. But I mean, are you really going to go against? With the exception of the Centauri, no real power could really match, or would match, but could not overtake Earth Alliance. Maybe towards the end of the war they could, because Earth Alliance their ships were gone. But who has better writers, Doctor Who or Star Trek Discovery? Why the hell would you ask something so stupid? Which is better, being dead or being alive? Which would you prefer to do? Eat glass or eat filet mignon? I mean, it's Doctor Who. Does that mean? All right, guys. You're also assuming the weapons would work against the Minbar. Yeah, Corey 2000. Now that's fair, but they had no other choice. Your argument is questionable. You're advocating the genocide of the Minbari would kill a whole lot of innocents. Allow me to rephrase that for you, Epic 00, and I'll do this one free of charge, buddy. You don't have to say anything. Here we go. Are you ready? You're advocating the genocide of a race that won't stop, even though you're begging them to not kill us all, and even offering to enslave those people who won't stop killing us. You're advocating wiping them away. Yes, Epic 00, I am absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and piss me off, because I know none of y'all agree with me. Put 1 in there if Stephen was a traitor. Put 2 if he did the wrong thing, but you wouldn't call it treason. Put 3 if he didn't do nothing wrong. Arcanto is talking about the section... well, not even section 31, but that's... people have brought that up. That's not bad. If humanity makes a plague and also makes a cure, they can use that to negotiate with. Is that also morally wrong? I'm not against that. I mean, I'm not saying that it is... I'm not saying that it is the moral thing to create to genocide the Minbari. I'm not saying that that's the moral thing to do. I'm saying that's what needs to be done. And anyone who doesn't do it is a traitor. Gabriel Ferris, sarcasm is a great lost language. I agree. Wow, that's a lot more mixed than I thought. Quite a few 3s, quite a few 2s. Got a 4 in there for the hell of it. 1s are popping out. 1 and 2, because apparently you can choose both, even though I kind of went out of my way not to choose both. I don't know, guys. It looks like 2s for the most part. 2s or 1s tied, which kind of surprises me. Star Trek Section 31 versus Babylon 5 Psycor. I have to give it to Psycor, just because they're telepaths. Unless Section 31 got smart. Which, I mean, they could. If anyone was a traitor, it was Garibaldi. You shut up, Jonathan Steve. You shut your mouth and you get the fuck off my channel. I don't ever want to see you here again. Garibaldi is awesome. You commit or advocate genocide, you lose your right to a fair fight. I agree, Terry Weaver. I absolutely agree. If you decide to genocide an entire race and you aren't willing to have any empathy, you lose the ability. I agree. I completely agree. All right, so let's go to the next one. And of course, we all know the answer to the real answer to the question is 867-5309. That is true. That is absolutely true. By the way, if you guys are watching, 85 people here, only 37 upvotes. Why do you guys hate me? Come on, upvote or downvote. Get in the game, people. Picard. in Iborg with Hugh. We're going to go with what was known at the time, right? Not what probably would have happened, because I don't think that this virus would have worked ultimately. Was Picard a traitor? Was Picard a traitor for not infecting Hugh to kill all of the Borg? But before I get into that, I'm going to address something that is absolutely and utterly... All right, it is a dumb argument. It is very stupid. That said, the person who comes up, I'm not saying you're stupid, but I think that argument is utterly stupid. So wither tags, I don't think you're stupid. So don't take this wrong. But I do think that your argument is ridiculously stupid. And what you said is, then that means that Germany should have been purged of life. The Nazis did not go out of their way to kill every man, woman, and child that wasn't German. A large majority of the Nazis did not and would not advocate for the wholesale slaughter of Jews. The Allies had the ability, and in fact did stop the Nazis. Let's look at the Earth Minbari War. The Minbari were not bigoted. They wanted to kill every human. So in that sense, they didn't care who you are or what you believed. They were equal opportunity. Earth Alliance could not stop them and could not fight them. Was no way. It is so ridiculously different that it's hard to fathom. Because of what the Nazis did, they deserved what they got at the Nuremberg trials. Well, the ones that we were. Because, I mean, the United States, the Allies, by the way, are no hero... I'm not going to give that soundbite. The Allies were not the best people in the world either. They were more than willing to let scientists go free, who had everything to do with what the Nazis did, just to get all of their technology and stuff. But the ones we did try at the Nuremberg trials got exactly what they deserved. Germans shouldn't be wiped out because of what Nazis did. All right, time for everybody to get pissed. I'll give it a couple seconds, then we'll talk about Picard. The leadership needed to be killed. The common Germans were manipulated, says Corey 2000. The military, I think, was too. A lot of the military was too, I think. Terry Weaver, I have done I'm not calling myself a historian, but I have done extensive research into World War I and World War II. I'm telling you. And yeah, I would agree. You can't compare the Minbari War to somewhat evenly matched World War II. I just don't think they can come in. And yes, I did fall to Godwin's Law. And maybe I got trolled. And if I did, congratulations. You did very well. Yeah. Let's not forget that America forgave nearly everyone at Japan's Unit 731. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Mario. You're right. Some people are saying we just need to get back to the sci-fi, and we should. But that's what I'm saying. The Allies were the Allies made questionable decisions as well, in my opinion. That said, what the Nazis did to the Jews and to other peoples, because it wasn't just the Jews primarily, but they did it to gypsies and political people. What they did was absolutely awful. And everybody who was included in that the ones we punished got exactly what they deserved. So, back to Picard. Picard did not infect Hugh. to destroy the collective. And so I don't think that would have impacted it. But let's look at it and let's assume that that it would have. And Picard did not send it back, did not stop the Borg. Picard, in my opinion, is on par with Janeway in this instance. Picard, in my opinion, absolutely made the wrong decision. He should have infected Hugh to stop the Borg. By not doing that, every assimilated individual that ever happens from the Borg is on his hands. And I honestly think that he shouldn't be in command, that he should be in a jail cell right next to Janeway. Now, let me say this, because when I talk about Stephen, I talk about execution. I talk about complete and utter devastation. And the different reasons is a couple of things. The Star Trek universe is not as dark as Babylon 5. And so I don't go as dark as that because they wouldn't kill Picard. They don't kill people in Starfleet. At least they're not supposed to. And so I would put him in jail because that's something they would do. I also think that, unlike Franklin, because, again, hindsight being 2020, we know what happens, but from where it looked at, from where Stephen was standing, it was the end of humanity. Humanity was going to become a dead race. Even with the Borg, even though it looked dire, there was still a chance that they could survive. There's still a chance they could fight. I don't believe they had that in Babylon 5, but I do believe they had that in The Next Generation and even in Voyager. But that's my opinion. I'm open to what you guys think. Atheron says, let's not forget the worst Hugh-related crime. By not using him as a weapon, Picard lets Hugh's ship wind up under Lore's influence. He lets Spiner ham it up more. That's true. Nova Stardom says, this is sounding a lot like the Battlestar Galactica Reimagined series when they considered infecting the Cylons with some disease and people were torn over the morality. Yeah, I actually was talking about that with Hilo. You may have not been here. I don't want to get into that. That's a little bit more, but I think Hilo deserved execution too. I'm really a harsh guy when it comes to this. You know, I realize that. When it comes to this stuff, I'm a harsh individual. Thank God I don't ever have to deal with this in the real life. Would you push a fat kid in front of a runaway car if it was going to kill a dozen other kids if it carries on? What the hell does that have to do? I don't know if I would do that. I have no idea. I'm not in that situation. I don't know. I mean, do I know this fat kid? Is this fat kid is it my kid? I mean, there's a lot to that that's in context. If it's just a numbers game, then probably, but nothing is ever just a numbers game. That's what I don't like about the trolley problem. Nothing is ever just a numbers game. Wait, I just realized the best weapon possible to use against the collective. What is it, Atheron? Throw a pack lid away team. Yes, let them assimilate pack lids. Instead of making mistakes, why can't humans do the right thing and tell the truth for once in your life? It saves your life. If it saves your life. I guess. I don't know. Some decisions have to be based on the greater good. That decision seems based on the moral arrogance. Basically, to preserve his perceived moral supremacy, he commits millions to assimilation. Yes, Gabriel Ferris. Exactly. And that's my point. He decides that because Hugh has a name and Hugh looks like a human, and he's somewhat attractive, I guess, if we want to go that way, that he deserves to survive, that he deserves to live. By the way, can I just say, I love how the Borg works so differently. I mean, Anti-Tracker does an excellent breakdown of that. You guys should watch his series on the Borg from the beginning. Why the hell are you guys on this fat kid? If the fat kid is fat enough to stop the car and you're strong enough to push him, why don't you just stop the car? What the hell is wrong with my audience is the real question. You guys get on some of the oddest conversation. I mean, I ain't mad at you. I mean, whatever. I mean, talk about whatever. We can talk about this fictional fat kid being somehow big enough to stop tons of vehicles, but you not stopping the vehicle itself. I mean, I get paid the same regardless of what we talk about. So I mean, let's just get into it. Hugh essentially became an ally. To turn him into a bioweapon would be treachery. That's one of the reasons you don't talk to prisoners. By the way, again, I'm just a horrible person when it comes to this. Hugh is a prisoner. Hugh is a prisoner. Hugh didn't have a name. You don't talk to prisoners. You don't give them names. Wow. You refer to them by what they want to be referred to. You don't individualize them. You don't personalize them. This is someone who wants to assimilate you, who works for an entity that wants to destroy everything you care about. This is why you... This entire live stream is going to be downloaded and used against me. I can already tell. Okay. One, if you think Picard was a traitor. Two, if you think he did the wrong thing and should be in prison. Or three, if he didn't do nothing. And then I think I got to get off, my good gents. I got to get off of this live stream. Because y'all making me say things. This is why you don't talk to Hannibal. Yeah, this is why you don't talk to... Just don't talk to prison... Side question. Doesn't Sheridan's speech to the Earth Alliance ships, these are your sons and your daughters whose beliefs in this alliance has never wavered, address your traitor question? I don't think it does. While we're waiting. Doesn't Sheridan's speech to Earth Alliance ships, these are your sons and your daughters who believe in this alliance... I don't think it does, but I have to think about that. We're from the internet and we're here to talk about fat kids and trains. We are. We're here to talk about fat kids and fat kids stopping trains. And if a fat kid is fat enough to stop a train, why don't you just stop the train yourself? Because it's fat kid science, is what someone said. It's a mixture of 2s and 3s. I think 3s have it, though. So Picard didn't do nothing. Didn't do nothing at all. Aetherion, yep, you're the only one. What's going on, Jackson Kennedy? We're actually ending, my friend. Agent XX302. Let's address that for a second. Guinan and Picard, after everything the Borg did to him, both agreed that he was not Borg anymore. And then they sent him back to become a Borg. Hey, this person isn't a Borg. Let's make him a Borg again. Lovely. Lovely. What's going on, Tabletop Yu-Gi-Oh? Me and Tabletop Yu-Gi-Oh have been talking a little bit. Leighton, I think, was a straight-up traitor. Cisco, not so much. And we won't be with her tax. I will shut that down bigger than hell. I don't want to get into any of that mess. And I'm not even going to say it. That's how much I don't want to get in. The fat kid is a moral thought experiment. See, first off, don't assume his identity. Maybe he doesn't want to be a moral thought experiment. Maybe he's an immoral thought experiment. So don't assume his identity, good sir. Have you ever thought this, lore? He made a bad decision in his need, thinking about what he lost when assimilated, mainly his humanity. Okay. I mean, he could have done that based on it, but I don't know. Ariel Ballet, Huggles, Laura, you were okay in the stream. Laura, just take a break and relax for the rest of the... I am, actually. I got a fun activity that I'm going to go do, assuming that I'm still able to do it. I'm between 2 and 3. He wasn't wrong not to kill the Borg, but he also wasn't right. Sure. Yeah, so... XX302. No, they let him choose if he wanted to stay on the Enterprise, and Hughes chose to go back to the Borg. So he chose to become Borg again. He's going to no longer be this person. He's going to be Borg. He's going to be an enemy. This sucker is going to assimilate and kill people. You're sending him... You freed him from the collective. You made him a real person, and now you're going to send him to be reassimilated so that he can go and kill other people. You are a bad person. You and Guinan are both bad people. You are bad people. That's all you can ever do. You're bad. You should feel bad. You should go sit in the bad corner. You are a bad person for what you did. Bad person. Terry Weaver, Tinder date. Yes, it's a Tinder date. You got me. That's exactly what it is. It's a Tinder date. Super Saiyaman, you got my question. What question, Super Saiyaman? Say it one more time and then we'll end on that. Picard sent Hugh to be reassimilated and give Spiner an excuse to ham it up his lawyer. That is the real one. The real bad one. He allowed Lore to ham it up. So Janeway did better than Picard, 7 versus Hugh. 7 is an interesting discussion. Tabletop Yu-Gi-Oh! Geez, you get so mad at fictional universe. Yeah, I get pent up. It's passionate. What's wrong with that? All right, Super Saiyaman, come on, buddy. I'm going to give you a couple more seconds, and then I got to be going. Kill them all and let the Vorlon sort them out? Yes. Would Ducat be a traitor? I don't think so. And Ducat's something that would take a longer time to pull down. It wouldn't be a Lore Reloaded stream if we didn't make James rage, which James is my name. Yes, I agree. I would agree with that. Absolutely. Ducat never betrayed Cardassia. I would say he betrayed the government. I would say he overthrew the government to allow the Dominion to come in, but more his betrayal would be that of like Cisco and the allies more than anything else. All right, guys, I think we're going to end it there. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And as always, please remember, ultimately, all our lives are just a story. Make yours a good one. Of course, you ask it when I get back. 1 second. On the subject of traitors, what do you think of what Itachi Uchiha did in Naruto, where he betrayed his clan over his village and wiped out his own people to preserve the peace? I haven't seen it. I can go back and watch it and try to determine, but he wiped out his own clan over his village and wiped out his own people to preserve the peace. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I'll have to take a look at it. All right, see you guys.